Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Connor and I recently hosted a TFT tournament for the Twitch Unity Guild, specifically supported by the Twitch Pride Guild with my good friend Londyn Bradshaw. We had the chance to interview Shawn Elizabeth Main from Riot, the lead designer on Into the Arcane. I'm excited to share the interview for anybody that did miss it, so sit back and enjoy all of the great chats we had about the set, the development of it, and just a little bit of fun as well. Welcome in, Shawn. Oh my gosh. Chat, meet Shawn.
Hi,
Shawn, again, I
Shawn.
mentioned there. Yeah, it's so good to meet you. Yeah, I loved the trailer for the set. I'm also a huge fan of Arcane, and I think when Kristen had mentioned like, oh, maybe you can chat with Shawn, I was like, yes, please. Super excited about it. So, but yeah, I would love for you to be able to introduce yourself, your role at Riot, your involvement in the set for the people who might not know.
Yeah, so I'm Shawn Elizabeth Main. I was the lead designer for Into the Arcane. I've been on TFT for about 2.5 years now. Before that, I was working on Legends of Runeterra, but yeah, I am a designer on TFT.
Very cool. And then, like, I don't know, I've been watching Arcane now, right, for the last few years after season 1. Was super excited. Season 2 came out. There's been so many different, like, amazing, like, characters and moments in the show. I'm just curious if you can share a bit about how you used the inspiration from the show to design the set and inspire champions, like the cost associated with them, all the traits. Like, there's so much. The augments have thematic elements to them, so I know there's a lot there. But how did you use that as inspiration?
We were trying to get as much Arcane as we possibly could into the game. That was kind of the big challenge of the set, was that we really wanted it to feel grounded in the world of Arcane, which isn't always how we approach TFT sets. Like, set 6 was also Arcane themed, but it was more like a springboard and an inspiration, where this was really trying to be like, okay, can we make it feel like it is using the elements of the show, using the characters? And so from the beginning, so much of it was like, okay, how do we take, like, particularly the factions, because that's like translates really neatly into traits in TFT, and get as much of that in there to make it feel as authentic to Arcane as we could. And then can we use the characters? Can we use the factions? And then, like you're saying, there's so many other elements that we were able to bring in. I mean, just as like a little example, I feel like I am so proud of like the team up augments, as like, okay, we've got these like character pairings that appear in the show, but maybe they don't naturally occur because of how traits line up. But can we find this other way to get you to start like putting Echo and Heimerdinger together? Can we give you a reason to do that because it's so important as a relationship in the show? Can we find a way to get that in there too? So, yeah.
That's great. Londyn, did you have any like questions about that or anything you wanted to follow up on?
No, I'm just in awe that we get to speak to someone who, like, literally, I got the opportunity to stream Arcane on with Netflix the day it came out, so I'm just here fangirling. So I'm just like keeping my composure. But hi, hello.
That's how I feel about Arcane too. So yeah, I just got to work on it for a year.
Yeah, I'm guessing you probably got to see a lot of the show, maybe like the season 2, maybe before a lot of people, or at least have like sneak peeks. Like, how did that feel to like kind of,
Let me tell you, that's not a positive experience seeing it early, because it was like, a year and change ago when we first started, it was like, okay, here's the first episode. Whoa, that's so exciting. Here's the second episode. Oh, there's a few scenes that are unfinished and look a little janky. Oh, here's the third episode, and it's basically like animatics and things. It's not the way to really enjoy it. And then someone gets up and is like, here's all the plot points for the rest of it. And it's like, oh, no, that's not the way to enjoy the show the best. But I mean, it's we had a really good team that was sharing all that information, so we could make all that use of it, which was cool. So, yeah.
Yeah, how did that kind of feel like from like a dev perspective? I'm assuming it just makes it so much different than developing any other set, because you're also kind of probably on timelines along the production of the show and trying to incorporate that into the set. And like, I guess how did that
They were
process
really
unfold and
good
feel?
about setting those up in a really healthy way for us, where we had access to material, and there was like a whole team that was kind of doing a lot of the like, okay, you should be talking to League because you're using Mbessa, and so can we make use of her? Are we making sure every team that's working on it is talking with every other team, and we're well coordinated. And it's a really healthy process where so sometimes you are working closely with other people, but like Mbessa is an example. I knew the lead designer and he was eager to share material, but we never actually showed him the material until we were done with the set. So it was kind of cool to finally like show him, her final design and have him be like, okay, yeah, I think you did right by the version of her that we see in League and things. So yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's actually a good segue. I had another question about just like the fact that there were so many new champions added to the set specifically. I know it's happened in the past. Sulka, right, was a past champion that was added from the show, or like we had like Kabuko at one point, I think is like a new champion in TFT. But there were so many like Loris and Steb and all these different champions that are brand new. Mel, you just talked about Ambessa. What was that process like? Do you think it sets the precedent for the future of what could come with TFT? I don't know how much you can share, but yeah.
In terms of it, we definitely were pulling a lot of extra resources to make this work, and the art team was putting in a ton to like be able to unlock our ability to add so many additional characters. But yeah, it was very much that like working first from what are the origins that we can do? What characters kind of are players going to be really excited to see, like a Savika or something, where it's like, she's so exciting as a character in the show. How can we represent her in TFT? And then there are others like Scar, where it was a little bit more like, okay, the Firelights are this really important group. If we include Scar, he unlocks our ability to tell more of that Firelight story and get some more of those visuals in there. So we came at it from a few different angles, but it was really exciting that we were able to do so many characters. And we went through a laundry list of possibilities in addition to the ones that got there. But I think like, the task force and Savika and Smeech and the Chem Barons, like it was a really fun process to like kind of have more of a blank slate to what we were doing, but also really try to bring in as much of the like Arcane flavor as we possibly could.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. I mean, Zeri and like the Firelights are one of my favorites, like thematically. Super big fan of Zeri, so buff her all you want. But Londyn, I know had a.
You can complain to Board if anything, yeah.
Yeah, I know during Box Boot Camp, I think Londyn had the Savika moment, right?
Yes, I did. If you're ever around, I'll send it to you by Discord DMs. But I witnessed the Savika throwing I think it was like in Box, it was like the person's strongest character on the set, or like during that like tournament, and I was like, oh, I'm not gonna beat this board, and then I just luckily got the Savika and tossed their like 4-cost off the map, or off the set, or off the battlefield, and I was like, did that just happen? And then Pup was like, that just happened. I was like, oh, that's really cool. So I very much enjoy it. It's really funny to watch someone get thrown off the map.
She was one that was especially fun and challenging to work on, because we saw that first fight scene and we're like, we have to make a version of her that feels like it's that fight, but also like, are we really willing to accept that much RNG with a 5-cost? And like, absolutely, like, that's the flavor of it, is to feel, like there's that many possibilities to what could happen. So yeah, that's exciting to hear.
Yeah.
Also, go ahead, Pup.
No, you go.
No, I was just going to say, a little bit off professionalism. How dare you make everyone so attractive in this set? Like, please. Like, I was like, when Warwick came, I was like, I am so ready for Daddy Warwick to come into this game.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely.
I love Warwick.
So much.
Yeah. No, I was just gonna say, do you have any favorite champions that were added to the set that were brand new? Like, what are some that you love, either like from the design perspective, or whether you love playing the game and love putting them on your board?
I mean, my favorite is Savika. I mean, she's just such a fun character. We were, I feel like, so proud of like when they did those promotional videos that were like intersplicing the like moments from the show with moments of gameplay. It made me feel so like proud of the team. Like, oh, we gave you the raw material and gameplay that you could like put these together, and that was just such a cool thing to like, you know, see and feel like, okay, we made this genuine, authentic representation of Savika, and I don't know, I thought that was really fun.
Yeah, she's super cool. Londyn, do you have any favorites? Any new characters?
I have favorite characters. I would say like I honestly, don't hate me when I say this, I don't play Chem Baron that much, because you have to be very tedious and patient about playing Chem Baron, because it's like you have to have like 20 health and then you ramp up and then just take over the whole entire board. But it's not so much my favorite character. I just really like the art that you all have displayed in the record board and the bridge board. The fireworks is really cool. It just reminds me of the scene that you see from the actual Arcane show. And then just like the past, present, and future that was put in to the record player board. The 3 levels of like 3 different types of music is very cool. That was really just some really like outstanding artwork that you all did for those.
The cosmetics team knocked it out of the park with so much of it. I totally agree. I love playing with the Caitlyn chibi and the wild finisher where she's sniping people. Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a good finisher. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I got my Arcane Warwick Unbound champion and was very excited about him as well. But yeah, no, Chem Baron, I'm scared. I'm a very like to play for consistency, not first rate. But I played like my first like real Chem Baron game the other day and we got second. So it was very fun to see Savika, you know, shine. I know she has the pit fighter as well, but yeah, I was gonna say 6 cost have also made a big splash in the last few weeks. I know we had Macau. There was a lot of talk around like the metas and Victor and the power, but I'd love to just share like, you know, how did you decide to like work on 6 cost and introduce them as a new thing in the game, and the design of them? They're so cool, and are they here to stay? Can you?
Yeah, are
can
they
you share that?
staying? Are they staying?
I'm always hesitant to say anything about the future because, you know, who knows what set 16 or 17 suddenly decides to do, but they are specific to this set. I can say that. The origin of them was actually kind of from there were 2 threads that came together. One was we had some really tricky timing things because of the show. We had a specific window where we wanted it to launch, which was like in the middle of the season 2, and it was like, oh no, but then how do we represent these elements that are like really critical that kind of come at the finale? Like you don't even really get like Victor powered up and he's so critical to the show. You don't get Mel's storyline. And we started thinking about like, okay, is there something that we can do there? Separately, Mort, who is my boss, and you know the design director, he was saying like, don't be afraid to really push the limits in some way. If you have any ideas for like something that could be outside of what TFT normally does, and the thinking about like, okay, in the finale we have them as like eclipsing, you know, they're in like Victor is in this fully powered superhero beyond kind of what we might even turn into like a 5 cost, and thinking about that as like, okay, well, we want to put these in later. How do we make them as exciting as possible and make such a splash if we put them in as this like, you know, second part to the set? And that's where the idea of 6 costs as like, you know, let's just keep going. And then, you know, the TFT has played with dragons and other things in the past that have like been bigger than 5 costs, but usually they've been using something mechanically a little bit different rather than just like, nope, we are adding a new tier in there. And then that was just became this great, like, palette for us to kind of show off the three champions in their like super powered form. And then there was lots of things with the individual design of like, how do you, do that justice? How much should they be specific to a comp or open-ended? And we went through a lot of iterations with each of them individually. But, I'll say I'm very proud of the team for getting to like something really cool and distinct that each of the three of them do. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I remember hearing more at Macau talk about on the main broadcast, like Victor and all the iterations and like, does he shred, does he sunder, the like CC, like what's going to sort of be intrinsic to like his kit overall. But yeah, they're super, super excited champions. So, yeah, also unique. Do you have a favorite of the 6 costs?
Mechanically, I think I'm most excited by Victor. I just love like the visuals of him like creating the defying gravity moment. But there was one Giovanni, who's been a designer on past sets and things, actually did Gizmos and Gadgets. He came in to like help us with Victor and just like showed off that like animation of like making everyone float, and it was like, oh, that's so perfect. And so yeah, probably Victor is my favorite of the 6 costs.
Yeah, he's super cool. I know everybody in the game's like ping, ping, ping when they see like a 6 cost, they get so worried, but no, they're super, super fun. So yeah, and I guess one of my other questions is, we're here representing the guilds today. One thing that I love about studios like Riot is they incorporate so much representation in the lore. Right. I know we had the love story of Vi and Caitlyn in the show itself, but yeah, I'm just curious, like as a developer, how do you see those stories impact your development process when you're coming up with the sets and traits, characters, all of that?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I love about our approach to sets is that we've really have like a process for making sure we're bringing in like a diverse cast into every set. We've got a huge number of champions, but we're doing various checks to make sure, there's a good like array of characters and character fantasies and all of that. TFT as a game has a pretty limited ability to like tell those kind of personal stories. It's not zero, but it's low. But one of the cool things about working with Arcane as like the backbone for the set is it allowed us to like give this emotional resonance to these like what otherwise might be like game pieces. And so, we kind of leaned into like, hey, the set is going to feel like fan fiction, and you can tell yourself a story because you put like a family emblem on Silco, or the one I feel like I find myself doing in games all the time these days is getting long distance pals, and then you get the heart VFX, and when you're playing Enforcers, like, okay, we're separating Vi and Caitlyn and across the board, and it feels like you're telling a story just kind of naturally through the gameplay because it has all of that emotional context that comes from hearing those stories in Arcane.
Yeah, no, 100%. And sometimes I don't know how you feel, Londyn, but just like knowing that those characters are there and represent maybe like something that you can relate to, sometimes it's just like what you need. Like you don't need the like everything else, just like knowing that they exist is a huge impact. So when you can do the storytelling, it's just like even more rewarding. So
yeah. I have a random question for you regarding the show and not so much the set. We are representing the Pride Guild today, so there is a lot of LGBTQIA going on here today. Do you think in a universe far, far away that Jace and Victor are more than quote unquote just friends? Because I think we want them to be more than just friends, but what do you think, as someone who works for the company?
So I cannot, give any confirmations of fan shipping or things, yeah.
I mean, it doesn't hurt to ask. Okay, so I do have a serious question though. What is your favorite I guess without, you know, what is your favorite Easter egg that you put in the game from the Arcane show itself that you can talk about without getting in trouble? Maybe.
It's interesting because there are a couple like little Easter eggs, but I feel like the ones that I get really excited for are like I mentioned, the team up augments of like one that was tricky, and I'm actually kind of delighted by is like the Maddie Mbessa betrayal augment, because it was like, you know, we knew we had to have her in enforcers, but like, how do you? And I was telling people like, don't worry, you know. People are gonna wonder why we didn't like do something radical when the evolved set comes out, and then someone suggested like, what if then we had this one little team up augment, and I'm like, oh, that's so perfect for capturing that story every once in a while, that you get to play Maddie with Conquerors or whatever. And so getting those little stories in there, I think, is some of my favorite stuff. Yeah.
That makes sense. I can't believe you did that. I unfortunately am not Team Maddie. I've never been Team Maddie. I think when I saw her get out of Caitlyn's bed, I said, I hate this woman. I really do. And then when I saw Martial, is it Martial Law, the augment?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, hello? I was like, how dare TFT do this to us, you know? So, but it's fun.
I have a coworker who says she's climbed to some like pretty impressive rank while never fielding Maddie because she's too angry at Maddie. And I'm like, wow, that's an extra challenge you've given yourself.
Yeah, it's really fun. It is fun in the end, so I do appreciate you doing that. I don't trust Maddie. I don't trust Maddie. I don't actually. Okay, I guess my last question is what is your least favorite set? Or sorry, least favorite, like I'm really fond of Firelight and Rebels. What is your least favorite combat?
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Which of my children do I like the least?
I hate that you said it like that, but also yes. And why is it Maddie? Just kidding. No.
Like individual champion or more like a trait in the set?
I guess both. I guess, can we ask both if that's allowed? Is that too much trauma?
So I feel like Automata might be one that like it's probably one of the ones. It's less the Arcane stuff because I'm like so happy with how that turned out. But something like Automata was one that like went through a bunch of iterations, and like, you know, it feels like Piltover and Zon, but it also like doesn't really advance that feeling of Arcane to the set. And you know, it's okay, it's kind of visually interesting, but like, you know, compared to the elements that really pop off, like, you know, that's one that I'm like, you know, if you'd given us another 2 weeks, maybe we'd have another iteration that would feel a little cleaner, or go back to the beginning of the set. Maybe we could have found something that like fit the theme a little, you know, 10%, 20% better, but like, yeah.
I'd give Mort his cost Malzahar moment, you know? Because Mort's like a big Malzahar fan, right?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Oh, I was just going to say, you had to give Mort his big 5-cost Malzahar moment, right? No, that's fair, though. Yeah, now that the set's been out for what, like a month? Something like that. I guess, like, what is your kind of role like in the set as it's like continues like after launch, right? You like do so much with the development. I know that there's like additional balancing teams, if I'm correct. And how are you feeling now that it's out there? People have played it. We've been through a few patches.
My role is pretty minimal at this point. I'm starting to roll onto, or in the new year, I'll be rolling onto kind of the next project. The team was heavily involved in kind of bug fixing and all of that after launch, and peripherally involved in kind of supporting on the balance side, although basically we kind of have this like assembly line of like the set team into finalization that's more attuned to like their job isn't solely balance, but like, you know, that's part of it, to like the live team that is paying much more active attention. And, you know, I am not a top tier player. I can't be like, you know, I'm certainly like playing the set. Actually, that's probably the biggest thing is it kind of went from feeling kind of like so unreal that it was out there, then waiting for the reactions to the evolved set, and now at this point it feels like mostly like, hey, I'm just enjoying the set as a player. You know, I'm grinding random games and trying to rank up, and I feel like, yeah, no, fully at this point, other than conversations like these and sharing some stories, like, you know, I'm just a player, and that's fun to finally be at that point where I don't need to be hunting for bugs or something like that.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I love that. I feel like whenever I like hear from Riot employees, or like I've seen them interviewed in the past, or just like with like Mort streaming and everything, like I love how much like y'all play the game a lot as well. So I think it's like really cool because you probably get to see so much that, like from the player perspective of like what is really rewarding for the set too. So I think it's super cool when I hear y'all like being excited to play the game.
You talked about trying to play consistently. I'm like, I will go 8th or 1st, and that is it. I'm like never in the middle. I'm just like doing the riskiest plays because I don't know. I have fun exploring the weird corners of the set.
Yeah. Do you have any favorite moments? Like any big games? Whether it's been like some cool twist of a comp or 3-star 5 cost, or like what's been like a standout, you know, a tuber moment, I think as streamers call it.
I feel like I've had oh no, I don't have any good stories off the top of my head. I get excited every time I get to play Family 5. That's one of my favorites, because that was such a like weird little like thing that we got in at the very end. And I love when I get to play that, but I'm not sure, you know, or any prismatic I'm happy to play, but I don't know that I have a great like story of a weird comp that I played.
No, that's fair. I was really sad when I don't know if the augment worked very well, but it was the one where you like duplicated the frontline champion and then all of the like ones like in that row became the same champion. I thought that was like so cool, but I didn't know really how it worked in any comps, and I'm sure that's why I got removed. But was really curious to see.
It was such a fun one to do weird stuff, but it was so created so many problems for balance and bugs and all of that. So, you know, I understand that as well. But yeah, that was such a cool one. Hopefully, I feel like one of the fun parts about TFT, and especially augments like that, is like, great, you know, the team that's working on augments in the next set, maybe they'll find a version of that like, you know, works a little bit better, and, you know, that they're able to return to kind of fun concepts that maybe were not 100% there the first time.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's what I tell people too, is like TFT is like so evolving all the time. Like I applaud you all as a dev team for how often you patch, release new sets. Like I know somebody that's worked like on products in the past, like how much work goes into that. So thank you for all you do for you know, creating an amazing game for all of us. So
thank you.
Oh, thank you both. I mean, it's so exciting to like, you know, see reactions from players and things, you know, that's what we're doing it for. So
yeah, 100%. Londyn, do you have any final questions?
I have one question from the chat. But I don't know if I'm going to be asking it today. I was supposed to ask you about a fan theory called Hex Strap. It is a hex tech thing for Caitlyn and Vi. The lesbian community is asking, so I'm doing the justice by supporting the lesbians in the community by asking the question. Because I
gotta go.
I guarantee you, as a Rioter, I cannot respond to that question.
Hey, if you never want to speak to me again, speak to Pup, not me. It was my idea. It was not Pup's idea. He did not ask the question. So you could be like, it was a great interview, but never talk to Londyn again. So, but always talk to Pup. So
That's a wild question, but you know, some questions must be asked.
yes.
And some must not be answered.
Well, yeah.
Well, I really appreciate you taking the time today, Shawn. Is there anything you wanted to share? Final words. It's just been so fun chatting with you about the set. So
I'm just so excited that you're doing this. This was, I mean, I will say on the subject of kind of the Pride Guild and things, you know, this was an incredibly important set to me personally as well. I came out during the course of it and things. So it is so lovely to see, you know, the community coming together like this. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And the more I played the game, the more I've realized our community plays the game. And it's really cool. And I've seen so many new people get into it too, even with Arcane. So awesome. Well, I think that wraps it up. And thank you again. I appreciate it so much. I think it means a lot to so many people that you came and spoke with us. So
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Bye, Shawn.
Bye.